Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. The Thor update is finally here. I've been waiting for this one for a long while since Thor is my favorite character. I was really hoping that this update would be one of the best ones of the year and go without any issues, but unfortunately that hasn't been the case. The maintenance was kind of screwed up for many players, the drop rate for card crafting cubes was nerfed, and the Book of Vishanti drop rate was questionably changed. Before, it was that a book was featured for a day and you were able to only get those books, and you would only be able to get one of each of the ones that were featured. With this update, however, one particular book is boosted at a higher drop rate chance, which you're more than likely going to be able to get in a particular day just using the boost points that you have. But then after you get that one, you can basically get any books to drop, but at a very low drop rate. The issue with this is that the drop rate is so low that unless you get very lucky or you use boost points that you've likely bought and stacked a lot of, you're not really going to see a book dropping. When I say a lot, I mean I used 50 times or about 1,000 to 2,000 boost points and only managed to get one book, so definitely don't do that. This change would be good if all of the books that weren't boosted for the day had a higher drop rate, since it's extremely low right now, or if after you use a certain number of boost points, you have kind of a safety net feature allowing you to get a book to drop. Other than that, one of the gripes that many players have, including myself, is that we didn't get Gore as a boss that deserved justice. He was basically just a legendary boss, which is very easy and really not that challenging, and he isn't a playable character. We haven't gotten a playable character in a long while now, and Gore would have been a great pick. Although all these negatives kind of ruin the overall experience of this update, I have to say that one thing that they did right is the character upgrades with the uniforms. Thor got a great improvement with his uniform, and his T4 is looking to make him one of the strongest characters in the game. Jane, or Mighty Thor's upgrade, is one of the higher tier PvE reworks, and I would cautiously say that she might be close to Moonstone or Makari in terms of the upgrade that she got. Valkyrie probably got the least improvement of the three characters, but she did get a pretty good improvement nonetheless. She more than likely will be ABX meta for combat female, and the changes that she got to her kit not only make her proc friendly, but can possibly make her viable in PvP, which I'll be testing in the following videos. Anyways, with that aside, this video is dedicated to showing how Thor is with his new upgrades. I was lucky enough to get his potential realized and get him to level 80, so you can see the difference that level 70, 72, and 80 makes, as well as the uniform. Keep in mind that I have a totally maxed out build for Thor, so the results that you see you have to take with a grain of salt, because I do have the #1 ranked Thor in the game. So what that means is that I'm using a brilliant CTP of Judgment, I have 20 Odins, max type enhancement, a stage 12 ISO 8 set, I believe, or whatever the max is. The only thing that I don't have is his artifact. Even though I do have it, I didn't equip it to him. The reason for that is because the artifact didn't exist before the update, and I didn't equip it then, so if I did equip it afterwards, the results would be skewed because of it. So whatever you see, you have to keep in mind that there is potential to actually go higher than this. So the first test I did was a stage 9 of Knull, with no leadership or support, just to show you how the old uniform compared. Because of my current build, I was able to complete it in 1 minute and 20 seconds. Because that was too quick, I went to stage 24, which is the highest that was allowed with the current character restrictions, and I was able to complete that with about 40 seconds remaining, again with no leadership or support. I was also able to clear a stage 35 of Mephisto with almost no time remaining on the clock, just 4 seconds. I also did a stage 39 just to see if I could clear the first phase close to that 4-minute mark, which is usually a good indicator that you can potentially clear the stage with that character. Even though I cleared stage 35 with 4 seconds remaining, I was being very cautious most of that run not to die, so being only 15 seconds away from that 4-minute mark should give you some kind of idea that I could potentially be able to clear the stage under the best conditions, but it would likely come right down to that 5-minute limit. Some of the major improvements from the old uniform to the new uniform is that the new uniform obviously does way more damage, but besides that, it also gives you healing up front on the 4th skill now instead of at the end of it, which gives you more survival, coupled with the increased damage mitigation on the uniform passive, makes it easier for you to stay alive and clear higher stages of War Boss Legend and Dormammu. In addition to that, his cooldowns got adjusted a bit, so now instead of having one skill having a higher cooldown, two skills have more medium cooldown, which is good because your ultimate fills up faster, and they also changed the ultimate to deal more damage. It doesn't have more hits, but the base damage is higher. Besides this, the 4th and 5th can now be cancelled to an extent and have partial iframes, which further increase your survivability. They also kept the 2nd skill intact, so you can easily cancel out of any animation and move away from any potential hazardous zone. Even though the minute and 20-second clear time of the old uniform was good, this one basically almost did it in 60 seconds flat. If you're wondering how to build the character for PvE, a CTP of Judgment would be my first recommendation, since it makes his rotation and playstyle a lot easier to do. But if you wanted to use a single skill damage proc, you could just as well go with something like a CTP of Energy, though his rotation will be a little bit trickier because there are a lot of delay cancels that you have to do to maximize his damage. Since he doesn't have guaranteed crit, I wouldn't really recommend a CTP of Rage compared to a Judgment, though if you don't have a Judgment, then I guess that would be the next best option. That is, if you don't want to mess around with single skill damage procs from something like Energy or Destruction. You can get an early idea of just how big the uniform upgrade is, since I'm able to complete the stage 24 of Knull a minute and 30 seconds faster than before. Generally speaking, any kind of uniform upgrade that improves the clear time by about a minute is good, but anything more than that is, I would say, great. The rotation that I used with the new uniform is 3 delay cancel, 5 delay cancel, 4, and let that play out for most of the proc. Then you can finish with a 1 cancel 2 just to build up your ultimate charge. If you're wondering when to delay cancel the 3 and 5, the 3 is delay cancelled after he hits the ground with the butt of the hammer, and then the 5th skill is delayed cancelled after he lands on the ground. He'll throw his hammer first and then he'll land. That's when you can cancel into the next skill. Once you have your ultimate, the rotation with the ultimate basically becomes 3 delay cancel 5, delay cancel your ultimate or your 6th skill, and then follow up with the 4th skill for whatever is left on the duration of your proc. If you want to know what the full rotation looks like, or a kind of more advanced rotation since your procs don't really align, you can do 3 delay cancel 5, delay cancel 4, and then you do your 1 cancel 2. From there, you wait about a second or two, and again, if you have a mighty or brilliant CTP, move around a bit to fill up the meter. Then you do your 3, delay cancel 5, delay cancel into your 6th skill, and then follow up with the 4. At this point, your proc might be near the end, so you can follow up with a 1 cancel 2, and then wait a little bit for the 4 and 5 to come back off cooldown, which should be in about a second or two, and then go back to the beginning of the rotation. Like I mentioned before, the upgrade that Thor got is pretty great, since I was able to previously complete this with about 4 seconds remaining, and with the new uniform I have a minute and 51 second improvement. Previously at stage 39 and with the old uniform I was able to complete the first phase in a minute and 15 seconds, and with the new uniform that is improved by 26 seconds. Furthermore, I was able to complete the stage with a minute and 29 seconds remaining. To get a better comparison of Thor's upgrade at level 80, at level 70 I did a solo giant boss raid Dormammu run and was able to complete it in 2 minutes and 37 seconds remaining. Unfortunately, I couldn't take him into Alliance Battle Extreme because of the restrictions for the day, but I did take him into the no restrictions fight in squad battle and was able to score 9.8 million with him at level 70. This was only on the first try, so I'm sure I could have broken the 10 million mark with a little bit more practice. Even though Alliance Battle scoring works differently since it's less susceptible to pierce, the fact that I can reach 10 million is usually a good indicator that the character can do really well in that mode. After upgrading Thor to level 72, I was able to complete stage 24 a minute and 30 seconds faster, which is ironically as if I turned the stage to a stage 9, since that is the same amount of time that it took me to complete a stage 9 at level 70. And then unbelievably enough, for the stage 39 clear, I got a 2 minute and 13 second improvement. So to put it another way, I was only 17 seconds short of clearing the entire stage in 60 seconds. Keep in mind that that was still with the character at level 72 and not even 80 yet. So once I got the character up to level 80, I secured the top spot or the top rank for Thor. I also upgraded his gears and skills to max, though I did that after I finished all of the testing at level 80, so it wouldn't skew the results. The skill and gear upgrades don't really make that much of a difference. I would say it's anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds total, so it's not really much to worry about. But regardless, you can see that these are the materials I had before the upgrades, and then these are the materials that I have after the upgrades. For the gears alone, it cost me 4,700 carbonadium and 3,100 soul of the Faltine. Funny enough, I have the exact 800 amount of carbonadium that you need to T4 Thor at the end, but unfortunately I don't have enough of the universal books. The difference between a level 72 and 80 isn't as massive as level 72 and is only about a few seconds upgrade, about 1 or 2, but that's mostly because the stage is so low, and unfortunately I couldn't go to higher stages because of the restrictions. I probably shouldn't have used any strikers at all, but I didn't really expect Thor to be able to clear these stages in almost 60 seconds every time. Because he was doing so well, I tried to take him into something that I thought would be a little bit more difficult, stage 14 with no strikers and no supports or leadership, but he was still able to complete it in roughly 60 seconds, being 68 seconds exactly. I'm pretty sure that at T4 I should be able to almost one-shot this fight. Sadly, I can't really test the higher stages since I don't have them unlocked yet, but I believe they are somewhere in the 65 range for Knull and Mephisto. And for Ultron, I actually think that the universal male and hero combination appears multiple times, somewhere around the 40 stage or higher and 70 stage. Versus Mephisto at level 80, he got about a minute improvement, which is pretty good. But keep in mind that I was playing a little bit more cautiously since the purple orbs now do a lot of damage and can basically do 50% of your health with one hit. In squad battle, I went up about 300 to 400,000 points with the level 80 upgrade, but again, with a little bit more practice, I'm pretty sure I could optimize the rotation and be able to hit somewhere in the 10.5 million score or higher. Besides that PvE content, I also tested Thor in the Dimension Rifts and had one of the fastest clear times of any character I've ever used, which was roughly sub 40 seconds for each run. I tested out Jane as a support instead of Valkyrie, and the results were actually pretty close to one another, but because I have an insight on Valkyrie, she did pull ahead a little bit more. You can see here that his sub 40 second clear time is pretty consistent, since the best that I saw was a 36 second clear time. In comparison, I used Athena before, and the clear time that she had was over 60 seconds. And because Thor can clear so quickly, you can run the Dimension Rifts a lot, and I was able to hit the highest amount of clears that I've ever before at about 24 runs, with the 24th now counting because time ran out. Because of this, I can easily say that Thor is the top character for auto PvE content, so that would be things like Dimension Rifts and Dispatch, and you can see that here, since I was able to clear stage 10-4 about 10 seconds faster than when I was using Iron Man instead of Thor. And on top of that, I was able to clear the stage under 60 seconds. One of the reasons he's so good for auto content is because he can leverage White Fox's leadership and support, and because his AI frequently uses his best skills, his 3, 5, 4, and 2, and with him having a lot of AoE and moving around the map and tracking the target so well, he's able to quickly take out mobs easily. And funny enough, if you wanted to use the character for PvP, even with that Judgment build, you can get some value out of him in something like Alliance Conquest, because that level 80 and the proc gives him a lot of burst damage, especially because his skills are fast, and because there are iframe, he can stay alive long enough to deal some of that damage. I'm not sure building him specifically for PvP will be good value, so something like an Authority or Regen, because his skills have long and slow animations, so once you go past that iframe, he's basically just going to be sitting there, and I don't think that an authority or a regen will cut it for his survival, considering that so many PvP characters have good PvP kits to counter that. You can see that Thor's new uniform actually does give him a great improvement. It's not just the level increase. So for any people who want to use the character to auto things like dispatch and dimension rifts quickly, I would highly recommend that, since he is the best character in the game for that now. But on top of that, because he is universal, you could use him any day of the week for giant boss raid, and he'll perform consistently for that, especially if you can get him to T4. Overall, I'm really happy with the improvement. If he got a synergy uniform that also made him PvP viable, I would have been thrilled, but I'm perfectly happy with this. I look forward to getting the character at T4 as soon as I can get the books, and showing you guys just how much better he's gonna be, especially in things like giant boss raid. So if you don't want to miss what one of the top T4 Thors can do, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss that video. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and sharing this video with others so others can enjoy it as well. As always, thank you for your time and watching, but the video is now over.